Good morning and welcome. Um, my name is Heidi Bellamente. I'm the Director of Organizational Development here at Exeter Health Resources, now part of Beth Israel Lahey Health. And I am welcoming Allison Casassa today, our CFO, to our Leadership Insights series, our interview series around change, leadership, and transition. So welcome, Allison.
Good morning, Heidi. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. I'm excited to get to know you, and thanks again for taking the time to talk with us today about some of the changes and transitions, not only in your own life, but that are happening for us as we integrate into this larger health system.
My pleasure. I look forward to our discussion.
All right. Well, let's start with a little bit about your journey. Can you share with us a bit about your background and about your journey to your current role here as CFO?
Sure. So I think it goes back to when I was growing up as a child. At dinner, I would listen to my dad, who is also a CPA and an accountant, and he would talk about his day. Then I kind of hit those rebellious teenage years and decided that I wanted to chart my own path in college. So I actually majored in communications. However, I felt communications gave me more interacting with people, was more social versus that perception of being an accountant or a number cruncher, as they're often known as.
Yeah.
Still, though, I think I had the influence of my dad, who said, you really need to take some business classes. So I agreed to minor in business. Unfortunately, at school where I was enrolled at UNH, business classes were really hard to come by unless you were majoring in them. So I then decided I needed to shift, and I did a dual major in both business administration and communications, kind of satisfying my desire as well as checking that box off for my dad. As a result, though, it was somewhat ironic. My degrees were really, I think, complementary. Not only did it enhance my skill set from a communication perspective, but it paired it with the technical aspect of accounting. And so coming out of college, I started out in public accounting, and it was a great opportunity to be exposed to many different industries, manufacturing. I audited the state of New Hampshire. And in addition, healthcare. And the third year of working in public accounting, Exeter Hospital became my client. And it was really very interesting in terms of the culture that I saw, comparing it to other hospitals across the state that I also audited, as well as really the financial acuity. It very much impressed me with Exeter. So my second year, I came out to work on the engagement. I had recently purchased a home in Stratham, and an accounting manager position opened up here. So I applied, got the position, and I would say from there, my tenure was, I moved into the controller role, then the vice president of finance, and finally the chief financial officer. All of these really extending my passion for working together with people and communicating financial results to various audiences in what I feel has been a very meaningful way.
Oh, that's lovely. It's so interesting to hear about your dual major to start with, right? The influence of your family, and honestly, Allison, I can hear the communications training, right? When you're speaking as a public speaker, it's always such a joy to hear you.
Well, thank
So
you.
yeah, great story. Now, I know that role has continued to expand, right? As CFO now, you are charged with multiple responsibilities as part of the integration of into Beth Israel Lahey Health, and you are leading one of the busiest integration work groups so far, right? The system services work group. Um, I would love to hear, what are some of the most important and exciting parts of that work group and that work going on right now?
Sure. I was truly honored to be asked to be the executive lead sponsor for the System Services Work Group. You know, fortunately, many of my colleagues I've already been, who I had established close working relationships with, they've taken a direct lead role in the many work streams that have evolved from this integration. You know, the key important piece here is many of these initiatives that we're working on are multi-phase and even multi-year over time. So we actually started working on this well over a year ago, even before we had the affiliation finalized. And it really gave us the ability to actively execute on initiatives once the affiliation was complete. We've had multiple success stories that have occurred to date. And if it's okay, I thought I would share with you and the listeners, you know, just some of those.
Yes.
The first one would be in the area of benefits harmonization. I know we just came off the open enrollment for benefits. Yep. And in fiscal year 24, you know, we transitioned phase one, so this is another multi-year initiative, but phase one was looking at the health and dental as well as life and transitioning those to the BILH system platform. One of the reasons why this was such an exciting initiative is it really provides our employees with more choice at a lower cost. And that was something we heard from our employees. They really wanted the ability to select more than just the one offering that we historically had had. And then the fact that we could also do so at a lower cost, it was a lower cost for our employees, as well as it lowered the cost that the employer, Exeter Health Resources, also pays. So again, this was a win-win, and so it was a super exciting first initiative. Simultaneously, another large initiative we have going on is in the area of supply chain. And so we have been able to generate a substantial savings related to our contract consolidation and optimization for pricing. So what does that mean? Well, working with BILH, we were able to join their group purchasing organization. And their group purchasing organization is an organization known as Health Trust. For those of you here may have heard, we previously were part of Yankee Alliance. And so now we're migrating over to Health Trust. That will occur in March. And the prices that we will now pay as part of Health Trust are significantly less than what we previously paid. And it's for the same brand and the same item. Over 80% of the products that we purchase, it was a direct match. So in essence, just by obtaining them under Health Trust, we are going to see the only difference anyone will see is the savings of the lower cost that we're actually paying. And honestly, Heidi, who doesn't like a good deal? So this was super exciting. And, you know, to be perfectly honest, down the road, there will be some need for standardization or optimization on certain supplies or pharmaceuticals or maybe even other products. But all of these are in line with our fiscal responsibility, which really includes trying to reduce the cost of the care for our patients. And that's really in alignment with what our role is and what it's all about. So those are like two of the high-level initiatives that people may or may not necessarily have seen that we've started. I think a couple others just to touch upon relate to IT. So in information technology, looking at contract standardization and optimization. And then we'll be implementing some of the key systems, Office 365, which I know is near and dear to your heart, and then other systems such as Epic and Workday. So again, a lot of great work has been made and progress, but many of these are also multi-year initiatives. I'm not going to leave out the clinical areas because the clinical areas are also involved in the shared systems initiative, and clinical areas such as the pharmacy, looking at integration as well as optimization, standardizing practices as well as our formulary help to optimize our savings. Another area in terms of lab, and again, integration as well as optimization of services. When I reflect back a year ago or 2 years to one of the driving reasons why we were in favor of moving forward with the affiliation, the objective was to improve our financial sustainability through scale. And being a part of Beth Israel Lahey Health has really, I think, enabled us to take advantage of and implement, as well as achieve, our targeted savings coming out into our first fiscal year. And we look forward to that continuing on in future years as well.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for that summary. Those are so exciting, and especially to consider, right, that this has all been happening just since July, right? I'm talking to you on Cyber Monday, right? Because we like a good deal. I got to mention that. So, and it's such a short period of time. There's so many other great things to come. I know that, the financial and kind of fiscal responsibility that we have right now. And I understand that, each of us in the organization at some point in time are likely going to be called to maybe do things a little bit differently or work a little bit differently or, be part of these integration efforts or new systems. What advice, right, would you give to those in the organization who might struggle with that a little bit, or just some of the changes and transitions that we're called to make right now?
Sure. So you're right. Change is something that is never easy. But when I really step back and love our backdrop, Exeter has had a rich history, 125 years of caring for our community. During that time, there certainly has been a great deal of change. If you walk along the third floor outside the conference rooms, you can see in those pictures the vast amount of change that has occurred over our history. And I know, there are those out there, and some people, they thrive with change. They love it. And then others, they don't really care for it or like it very much. And I think, when I reflect upon it, it's really the unknown or the lack of control that sometimes can make it really challenging. And so, one of the things that I look to and think about is, while we can't necessarily control what happens, I view it as you can control how you respond to it. And so I like to think about, giving myself or giving yourself time to really process and reflect what's going on and how you can view it. Looking at the bigger picture, understanding, what this is bringing about and what this means. Working together with colleagues. They're a tremendous resource of support. Talking to people, and sometimes even talking to people outside of, where you work, family, friends, because sometimes just talking through things gives you a greater insight than perhaps you're able to achieve on your own. I think setting goals, we're coming off of, RFR, so I always reflect in terms of setting goals and objectives. I think that helps to keep you motivated. So as things are changing, you tend to remain engaged and striving to achieve. And then finally, I'm going back to my roots to say I think it's so important, not only for management, but for everyone to communicate. What is the saying, Heidi? You can never over-communicate. So I think those are some of really the key points associated with change. If you don't mind, I'd love to share with you a quote. Unfortunately, I don't know who the author is, but literally it hangs on my computer, and it serves for me a reminder as it pertains to change. And the quote is that change is not easy, but it's not something to fear. Change will always result in growth. The ability to give yourself grace with that growth is really where the challenge comes. Don't be hard on yourself or beat yourself up if you make a mistake. Learn from the mistake. The only real kind of failure is when you don't allow or you stop letting yourself learn. And I feel like that sums it up, so well. So on those times when I feel challenged or those times when I don't know and have that uncertainty, I reflect, look at that quote, and remind myself that, we'll come through it, we'll get to the other side, and really this is about learning, and it's an opportunity. And, with that framework, it allows me to move ahead. And so I really encourage others to do the same.
Oh, and I love that quote, and kudos to whomever came up with that. Maybe we should just say that it was you, moving forward. This great quote from Alison Casasa. But I think what you were talking about really speaks to a leader's well-being. And, we want to support each and every one of our leaders and staff members as we go through this. And this idea that having some grace with yourself and wherever you are and whatever that reaction to change is, and then recognizing actually the reaction is what I do have control over. Yeah, and I also really appreciate your, just reminding people that the connection with other people, either inside or outside of the organization, is huge. I mean, we often think we are the only one going through this, or we are the only one feeling like this, or confused, or irritated, or annoyed, or, worried, or excited. And reaching out to colleagues, like you said, gives us another perspective.
Right.
Yeah. Um, well, so it's like in sports, I think it's always really fun to get to know, players on and off the field. We've talked a lot about work right now, and I'm so curious, what is your life like outside of EHR? How do you spend your time? You have kids and pets and hobbies and interests, and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, so I guess starting off, I would say I have really adored spending time with my family. So a fun fact for you, I don't know if you're aware, my husband and I have two sets of twins. I have 3 sons and a daughter. My family did try and convince me to get twin dogs as well. I drew the line though, so we only have one. Kind of the things that I also enjoy is over the years I have loved photography. So I love this backdrop. Again, whoever took this shot has done a fabulous job. Another fun fact, I have close to 70,000 pictures on my home computer. I actually have one computer that's dedicated solely for all of my pictures. All of my kids played soccer through college. So by default, I became like the team photographer and would be expected to capture highlights of games. And in addition, the past 26 years, I continue to challenge myself to capture the annual Christmas card photo. And admittedly, some years are better than others. Happily stating that this year I'm really pleased and I'm getting ready to mail those out. But really spending time together, family vacations, grew up on the Jersey Shore, so love taking my family there each summer, as well as the Cape and the Caribbean. And last summer, we actually did a family trip to Italy. So, these are really kind of the things outside of here, or the people outside of here that I really give me a great deal of joy and spending time together with.
Oh, I can tell. I can hear the pride in capturing that perfect family photo for the holidays. That's tricky.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Well, I would love your backdrop submission for future interviews. We're taking submissions, so if you've got one, that you want to submit, we'll happily share it with future interviewees.
That's great.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Allison, thank you so much for your time today. I really feel like we're enlightened. We know a little bit more about you. I've really enjoyed hearing you talk about the work with the integration team as well as your journey to your position. So thank you very much for your work and also for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Heidi, for doing this. I have seen previous interviews, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity for people to get to know and hear from each of the presenters. So I applaud you for taking this initiative and doing this and providing this for our workforce as well. So it was nice speaking with you, and I hope you have a great day too.
Great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great. Bye-bye.